This is a poem that I know I didn't start. A poem that I pray like I run the last leg of. But in the spirit of Sankofa, in the spirit of our ancestors, I know that we've been writing this for a long time. And so this poem, I think, is a collection of individuals. There will be more people who write this later. But I'm happy to add my iteration, my chapter to this book. And so this poem has no title. I won't be able to give it a title because I wasn't the first person to write it. And so here's the piece that I want to close us with. I don't know when this poem started. I don't know if you'll be able to read the script unless survival is your native tongue. Artists have passed down this pen like a baton in this race that feels like a 4 by forever. And for 400 years, we've been living under the weight of what you witnessed for 8 minutes and 46 seconds while 4 men watched a man forecast his own death. I don't know when this poem will be over. If it will be silenced by the same bullets that stopped my heroes from becoming elders, I'm not even sure how much of this is poem and how much of this is just calligraphy from my consciousness, but I'm convinced that the truth is the only thing that will set us free. So we've been writing to remind you that justice is what love looks like in public, that we are more than just hashtags and yard signs waiting for the cosign of a next performative ally whose boots will never touch the ground. We've been writing to remind you that anti-racists don't wear capes, that they lock arms and create space for transformation to take place, advocating for the displaced when our moral fabric is misplaced. And in this case, I'm writing to remind you that this is not a solo act, not something that you should watch and clap for. It requires your participation. Ask you to see yourself in the eyes of the vulnerable, to use your privilege and positioning, providing platforms that speak truth to power, preparing your shoulders, baton in hand, praying that this leg is the anchor, that this poem sees a period, and if this period continues, finding the energy to keep running. We've been writing to remind you that Black boys with toy guns have seen consequences that white men with real guns have not. That Breonna's name was written into policy, but her family is still without justice, that her walls were deemed worthy of an indictment before her body, that Manny's family is still mourning, that we are still fighting to breathe. Can I remind you that our children have been watching, that our work is waiting, and I'm still betting on us, on you, on justice, on truth. Our communities and our youth deserve our efforts to push through, but we must choose to rewrite an already revisionist history, to resurrect stories that have been turned into mysteries, to decline teaching content that is in conflict with our consciousness, to realize that standing for humanity is a basic form of competence. We have been writing this poem in too many languages to count, for too many years to remember, accounting triumph and tragedy, carrying our heads held high, holding the hopes of our ancestors and the dreams of our children, titling every chapter of this book, Progress, Overcoming the Evils of This World with the Only Good That We Know. And I don't know when this poem started or what your contribution will be, but please prepare your shoulders, take this pen, this baton, and keep running, keep fighting, keep teaching, keep loving, keep hoping. We have been writing this poem, inviting you to insert a chapter in this story of liberation, because we, the believers, have always believed in the power of you.